Good Saturday morning, everybody. Welcome into the 615 Prep Scoreboard. Going to run 5 wide this morning as soon as KJ gets back in the room and turns his camera back on. But I've got Joe, Scott, and Cam also with me. Morning, guys.
Morning.
I think, Scott's got his coffee. I'd probably just take a little swig of Dr. Pepper after all that last one. There's KJ popping back in here.
Just get here when you can.
Oh, he reaches right for the helmet. Didn't even take him 20 seconds.
Sorry, guys. It's a good day.
Well, consistent at least.
You with that helmet, Joe, with this belt. Do you guys just have waxing parties?
KJ might be the well. I don't know about that. KJ and Chris may be the two happiest men on here today. Yeah. Chris just won't admit it.
Yep. Off air we'll talk about it, but on air just trying to keep it level. So
they are the only two members of 615 Preps that teams are still playing.
Yeah. Fun night last night, really was. Great second round.
Yeah.
Excellent. For what it's worth, I was fist pumping on the sideline at Shackle Island looking at that game. And I'm talking about the Macon County game. So super happy for those kids.
Well, well, I mean, it's hard not to fall in love with kids in your coverage area.
Didn't take long, did it?
No, it didn't.
Long, did it? Yeah, I had to bring that one up. Sorry.
Wow.
I could go back to the preview show about 13 weeks ago and mention that this exact thing was going to happen, but I won't because I don't have that kind of time. But
Joe, you may have to take over because we got homers on both sides now, and we're surrounded by homers.
Hey, baseball season's over, Scott. And the homers have left the building. Let's talk about round 2 because I mean, Joe, you and Cam were at Beach South win, and that was revenge season for the Buccaneers for sure, and they certainly acted like it.
A beatdown of epic proportions from the get-go. Beach set the tone. We'll have highlights here on that one in a bit, but my goodness. Just Caden Powell, Chelton Swafford dominant from the get-go, and what Matt just said, they just keep on scoring apparently. They scored on all but 2 of their drives last night, and that's because one was a 50-yard field goal attempt at the end of the first half, and then the other one is when they ran out the clock. So,
yeah. And you said they set the tone, and that's exactly right. Had a little resistance at first, and then the series, the 2-for-1, right before the half and coming out of the half, really made that separation just insurmountable for Southwind.
Also, Brentwood Stewart's Creek had themselves a barn burner of a second half or fourth quarter, and we'll talk about that here in just a minute. Let's go ahead and load up the scoreboard and get it going. We'll start in 6A. Oakland and Mount Juliet went toe-to-toe last night, but the Patriots do get out of there with a 35-28 win.
Yeah, couldn't pull it off, but I feel like I owe Mount Juliet's offense an apology. Tyler Travers, huge night. Scott, I'm sure, has the numbers. But, if you told me that they scored 28, I would have said, they had a chance to win the football game if they didn't. And that's pretty much what it took to stay in this game. But unfortunately, DeJuan Morris showed why he maybe one day will be a volunteer.
As Cam keeps those prayer candles lit. Patriots defense, you're right. The Golden Bears did light them up for about 376 yards passing. They opened up a 21-7 lead before, like I said, DeJuan Morris took over. He finished with 229 and 5 TDs, including a 100-yard kickoff return. It was a heavyweight bout. Mount Juliet's defense held Oakland to 2 of 11 on third down, but the second half was ruled by Oakland as they held the ball for like 18 of the 24 minutes in the second half.
Scott, I'm guessing you're saying that this was a better heavyweight bout than the one in Dallas last night?
I don't know. I didn't watch that.
It was bad.
I 60-year-old against a social media guru. Nah, wasn't my thing.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Let's go across town in Murfreesboro. Backyard Brawl Part 2 again goes to the Warriors, 31-17.
Yeah, this was a 10-10 game at the half. Blackman did a really good job holding them, but then second half was DJ Taylor. What it was Riverdale came out and scored on their first 3 possessions and just put it away. Defense kicked in. DJ Taylor, 18-yard pass up in the second half. He scored on the next drive, and after that was just Blackman scores late to make it 17, but Riverdale sets up that Battle of the Borough Part 2.
Yeah, and it's more of the same as the first matchup, really. You saw it go into half tied the first game, 7-7, and Riverdale scored 17 unanswered in the second half to win 24-7. I think it's got a lot to do with what Coach Gricey's able to do at halftime adjustments and coming out. And if I'm not mistaken, they got the ball first coming out of half in the regular season game and last night, and went down the field and scored touchdowns. So big difference there.
That sets up, like you guys said, Battle of Borough Part 2, Oakland Riverdale. This time back at Oakland.
And this could be a very, very good game. But Riverdale can't afford to get out to a slow start like they did. And they have to hope. Go ahead, Joe.
The scary thing for people playing Oakland right now, DeJuan Morris is back. Like back. I mean, he showed that last night, and it's hard to see any defense slowing him down. Craig Tutt doing his thing too, and who knows? Maybe they get another running back from injury here in the future. Who's to say? So Oakland just kind of loaded, and that game's at Oakland, so it's hard not to think that the Patriots pick up another big dub next week.
Yeah.
All right, let's get to some 6A highlights from over in Rutherford County at Stewart's Creek. Joe, if you've got those. All right, Stewart's Creek's opening series, 4th down stop near midfield by Brentwood, but they couldn't do anything with it. And this game was a lot of that between the 20s most of the night. Right here, you've got Jerry Taylor rolling to the right and finding Greg Harvey for a first down there. And it set up a field goal here to put Stewart's Creek up 3-0. We're going to go ahead and fast forward to the fourth quarter because that's all it was. 3-0, start of the fourth. Bruins cash in on a turnover here. J.C. White finds Clayton Merrill, 7-yard touchdown. Bruins up 7-3 with about 10 minutes to go. Stewart's Creek bounces back. Jeremy Smith on a jet sweep goes 68 yards. I didn't get video of that because guess what? I was taking photos. Keenan Fisher here ties the game at 10 with 2 minutes left from 24 yards out. Stewart's Creek last 30 seconds. Taylor overthrows this pass. Parker Emerson picks it off, and Brentwood gets back in business in Stewart's Creek territory. They get it down to around the 35, 37-yard line for one final shot to potentially win the game. But this Keenan Fisher attempt from 54 yards, as you'll see in a second, doesn't quite get there. And so we go to overtime. Bruins win the coin toss. They choose defense first like you're supposed to, but Caleb Floyd goes right to work. First play of the extra session, gets down right near the pylon, marked out at the 1. Next play, he goes and takes the direct snap in himself to put Stewart's Creek up 17-10. Brentwood, 3 plays, no dice. Here's the 4th down try with White rolling to his left, and Keelan Harris runs him down for the sack. And it sets off the wildest celebration Stewart's Creek's ever had. This first time ever that they're going to the quarterfinals as they beat Brentwood 17-10 in overtime. And a fun fourth quarter in overtime on a game that for 3 quarters was not necessarily the best. We'll just go ahead and call it what it was. But these two defenses were stellar in the first 3 quarters. We'll give them both their due. Just a really, really tough physical football game like I thought it would be.
It's kind of what we – go ahead, Joe.
I was about to say it's just fitting that Caleb Floyd and Keelan Harris are the two that made the biggest plays of the night because that's just kind of what they do.
Yeah, and let's give Jerry Taylor a little bit of credit too for Stewart's Creek. We don't talk about him enough. I mean, he made some plays with his legs that kept drives going, and Brentwood couldn't quite slow him down enough to stop drives from lengthening and draining the clock a bit. Now, this game, it was a TV game last night, and it ended short of 10 o'clock in overtime. So,
yeah, I was gonna say you didn't end too much longer after we did.
No.
Yeah, you're right, Chris. I saw one play where the ball was a bad snap. Jerry Taylor picked it up, ran backwards, and then wound up gaining another 10 yards, 15 yards, getting the first down.
Yeah, actually, that's part of our extended highlights on our YouTube channel, including Ben Caudill's speech to the team after the game. You guys are going to want to tune in and see that. So go to our YouTube page after this show's over, and you can watch those as well.
Yeah, that matchup was pretty much is what was expected. Low scoring, dogfight. That's what those two teams do.
Ravenwood took care of business against Franklin 45-13. The Raptors now 12-0.
Yeah, this game was close at the end of the first quarter. It was 10-7, and then Ravenwood just kind of turned it on. Our guy Kevin Bergsmith was there, and he was texting me updates and sent me 10-7 after the end of one, and then he sent me the second quarter score, and I was like, oh, okay. They flipped the switch. That sounds about right. But great year for Franklin. They've completely turned things around in a massive way, and this Coach Atkins has got this program going in the right way heading forward.
Yep.
Yeah, this Ravenwood defense is really something special. Franklin is not a bad offensive team. They're a very good offensive team, and Ravenwood held them to 31 total yards. So, I mean, that's unbelievable. Maverick Chance, 151 yards rushing on 8 carries, 3 touchdowns.
That sets up a rematch of last year's first round between Stewart's Creek and Ravenwood, and the Raptors will again host that one next Friday night.
Yeah, I have talked about how Stewart's Creek this year has been really a defensive team and in a lot of low, close-scoring games. They're going to try to drag Ravenwood into that, but it's going to be a tough one. They may have to find more points than they found all year to win this one.
Let's move over to 5A. Nolensville gave Shelbyville a handful and then some, but the Golden Eagles take down the Knights 33-28.
Yeah, Nolensville led this game 21-20, I believe, in the early fourth quarter before Shelbyville pulled away. But that's a heck of an effort from Nolensville, who looked significantly better than they did against Page a couple of weeks ago. Shelbyville, we'll talk about who they get next, but they're going to have to figure something out defensively because you can't give up that many points and hope to make a semifinals run.
Speaking of, it'll be Page. 29-3 over Centennial. The Patriots, probably not happy they gave up points, but again, it's a win. They're 12-0.
Guys, if they keep getting safeties, the defense is gonna score more points than they allowed.
Absolutely,
that's a good point. Yeah, they created 3 turnovers. Eric Hazard strip sack, blocked a punt. It's not flashy. It's not flashy. They just grab their lunch pail and go to work. Isaac Odie, 73 yards, 10 carries, 2 touchdowns. They just grind.
Hazard apparently loves playing Centennial because his 2 best games of the season have come against the Cougars.
Cam, I think you may have given them a new achievement to unlock with that stat, or that potential stat. See if they can 2-2 their way to scoring more than they give up. But it'll be Shelbyville at Page next week in the quarterfinals, and we'll see.
Yeah,
Isaac and I will be out at that game. Excited to get out to Rudderville. Got to thank Page, heavy favorite in this game, but Shelbyville's had a great season. They've only lost 1 game, guys.
Yeah,
and they score. Yep, go ahead.
Yeah. No, Cam, you hit the nail on the head right there. They score. They can put points on the board.
Right. Matter of fact, more highlights coming this way. Joe, it's all yours.
Through the smoke and out the ship, Beach, KJ, top 10 entrance for a team, admittedly. That was very cool. They get on the board first. Chelton Swafford up the middle from 22 yards out. Opening drive, they converted 2 4th downs on that drive. Kelvin Perkins wouldn't be outdone, though, early in the game. Drops back here. He finds Trey Henry over the middle for easy touchdown, 1 of 2 on the night for Henry, who had a really nice game. However, Swafford would not be denied. Touchdown number 2 on the evening. I mean, just the push the offensive line gave him was absurd. Then he gets another one right here late in the second quarter, and Beach is rolling. That's how you start the second half. Caden Powell over the middle to Quan Harris for 51 yards. Nice little move. Southwind, just nothing there. Quan just making it look real easy, and Beach is just dominating right now. And Chelton gets his 4th of the night here. Interested to see how many yards he has, if anybody sees that, because he, yeah. But now let's get into the Caden Powell portion of things. Bullies his way into the end zone. Mind you, 6'4.5", 260 pounds. Then he does it here, guys. I mean, just that's a freight train coming at you. There's nothing you can do about that. Perkins over the middle here again. That gets him back on the board, but Beach, really, really good. Really good.
It really looked like Beach was moving at like full speed, and Southwind was moving at like 3/4 speed in some of those.
The 2 times I've seen them this year, they destroyed Hendersonville and then they destroyed Beach or Southwind. Sorry, their offense in both those games had their 2 best outings of the year. This team, when that offense is rolling to complement the defense that KJ knows all about, you can't stop them.
And that's one thing we emphasized, going into the year, could they score points, and they just proved that they can, and they can compete in this side of the bracket.
Yeah, for sure. And we were on the Southwind side most of the night just because it's less crowded. And for the fans over there that were hollering every time Caden Powell ran the football, take his legs out, take his legs out. You stand in front of a 6'4", 240-pound quarterback and you try to tackle him. That's all I got to say.
So
That's quick train to concussion town.
yes, it is. Now, Beach gets another showdown with Springfield, who knocked off Henry County 20-17.
We talked about revenge being the theme, right?
I really like this Springfield team. Like, I know Beach fans may not like to hear that. I just like the way they play. They realistically could be a 11-1 team right now. There's not a game where they got just absolutely dominated. They've been one of the better teams around. They just came out on the wrong end of the scoreboard a couple times. But Cam, you and I were talking on the sideline last night. That win last week, that's a win that really sets your program ahead. And then to go to Henry County, a very, very tough place to play, walk away with another win after they beat you by 1 earlier in the year. This is a young group, and they're figuring things out, and that should scare a lot of people going into not only next week, but next year.
Glad you mentioned that, Joe, because yeah, I mean, Dustin Wilson and that staff have got this team competing and winning in 5A, and they're going to go down to 4A next year, and that just bodes well for them.
It does. Said it multiple times already. They will be in my 4A state championship game next year. But the matchup next week on Shackle Island, I was able to be at the first one. And, both sides can kind of say the same thing. Well, if this happened, then it's a different game. Well, that's true. If Beach scores, I think it was right before the half, it's a different game. They go up 2 possessions at that point. Springfield had 2 turnovers inside the Beach 30. So it's a game of mistakes, and who makes the least amount of them is going to win the game. And the first time it was Beach.
Like
last night,
like Matt likes to say, Beach makes you play ugly football.
Well, last night for Springfield, it was ugly football, and they came out on top. The first, they were behind the first half, and Springfield holds Henry County to 59 total yards the second half, and they do all the scoring. That's Dustin Wilson defense right there.
Let's go on to 4A, shall we? And this game was not as close as the score would indicate. Macon County wins 28-15, but they dominated the night.
Yep, whipped them.
Yeah. They did not allow the. I'm just going to flat out say this was a tremendous game plan by Kyle Shoulders and his staff. They did a tremendous job of keeping Bronson Chaffin in the pocket. They played up and they played up on the receivers, did not allow him to get comfortable in the pocket, and did not allow him to escape. They swarmed every tackle, and they did everything right. And to me, the turn point of the game, 7:45 in the third, Macon is up 7-0. It's 4th and 2 for Upperman at Macon's 5-yard line. Upperman goes for it. Defensive end Bo Warner gets penetration, pushes Chaffin back and on the quarterback run, and no gain. They turn it over. Macon County gets the ball, goes 95 yards for the touchdown, and makes it a 2-score game. That to me was the turning point of the game, in that because that all of a sudden put Upperman back on their heels. Next drive, Macon County gets an interception after Zach Borders hits Chaffin during a throw. Macon County goes down and scores again. It's a 3-score game. That series of plays right there, absolutely turning point.
Yeah, and it was old school football. I think what little I got to watch about 3/4 of it last night as I was editing photos. I think they threw the ball 2 or 3 times, maybe. So I mean, so they run the football the whole game, and it's what Coach Schroeder said in his post game interview with Michael Lindsay with UCR. He said we kind of did what they like to do to teams, and when Upperman went on their run last year, how they beat Greenville, they lined up and they ran smash mouth football, and they ran the play clock down to 1 before they snapped it. And that's pretty much what Macon County did last night. And 4 and 5 yard, and then they would break a 20-yarder. And that's what they did. I mean, they just they imposed. We talk about Beach imposing their will. Macon County imposed their will on Upperman last night.
Yeah, and Chris, you were right. It wasn't as close as the score indicated because, quite frankly, Upperman's 2 scores came when Macon County made them dink and dunk the ball down the field and eat up clock. And they let them drive down the field as long as they didn't hit the big play. And that allowed them to score.
And I promise you, this team was very hungry for this one. But I know this morning they're already they got orders of Warriors on the menu for sure.
Big Joe on Instagram said, "Let me hear you, Chris Brooks."
We'll talk a little bit later, Big Joe, but thank you. They're going to White County next week, and White County's hosting this game because they played during that monsoon during Hurricane Helene, when the field was reportedly partially underwater that morning, and White County took advantage of the conditions and knocked Macon County off. I would expect a drier field this time around, and we'll see how that goes for both of those teams. White County, though, has been impressive. Let's give credit where credit's due. They go shut out Loudon 28-0. That's not a bad football team at all. That's ought to be a really good quarterfinal game.
Yeah, didn't they? What was the stat from last night, Chris?
1 first down allowed by White County's defense against Loudon. 1.
Pretty good.
Yep.
Pretty
You
good.
get to the second round of the playoffs. If you can do that to a team, especially a top seeded team, it's not bad at all.
Right?
Yep. Other side of that bracket, Marshall County takes care of Station Camp 52-13, and the Tigers stay unbeaten at 12-0.
It was close for a little bit, and then it wasn't.
Yeah. Go ahead, Joe.
Station Camp had a great year. They ran into a buzzsaw.
Yeah, Tyler Thompson again, 193 yards passing, 3 touchdowns, ran for another. And like you said, what started out as a down season turned into a better season for Station Camp, and unfortunately, they didn't see her for them.
Yeah, and it's going to be – they're one of the teams, just real quick, that next year is going to be interesting. They do the opposite of what Springfield does. They go up to 5A next year. Mm-hmm. They do return a lot off this team, but we'll be interested to see how the Bison adjust to that.
Yep. But they are playing some familiar foes, too, and most of those Sumner County teams that they used to be in with prior to this last cycle. The rematch is set. Pearl Cone will play at Marshall County again. They win at Chester County 56-28.
It did not come this easy, though. This was a very, very close game. Chester County went step for step with Pearl for a while before Pearl just kind of They pulled away. If you're Pearl defensively, you got to be a little worried. Don't get me wrong. Going to Chester County is a hard thing, but they got to be road warriors again, going all the way down to Lewisburg and facing a Marshall County team that no team has figured out yet.
The good thing is that LJ Funk has put together 2 good back-to-back performances. Last night he threw for 294 and 4.
Yep. There it is. Pearl Cohn at Marshall County next week. It's the 3rd road game for the Firebirds in a 4-week span.
Yeah, 24-21 overtime win for Marshall County the first time. And it was a wet track as well. It was a pretty rough looking field from what I could see from the NFHS network, as far as it being tore up pretty good because of the weather. You know, and Joe said it. Pearl Cohn's got to figure out this defense thing if they want to try to win next week.
And this is where the regular season matters, because if Pearl Cohn plays on their field on a fast track, it's a totally different thing.
I like it, Tony, sorry. Calling your shot now.
All right. Yeah, there you go.
KJ doesn't agree.
No, KJ wants no part of that. On to Class 3A, where East Nashville took care of Sycamore 48-14. Sycamore's run ends in the second round.
This was a close one too, though. It was 14-14, and then East Nashville remembered that they are East Nashville and rattled off 34 straight. Really impressive. We kind of talked about on our live last night to have KJ Johnson, one of the state, not just area, state's best running backs, go down, season-ending injury late in the season, and then you followed up with a loss to Smyrna, not a bad Smyrna team, and then you just rattle off these blowout wins after blowout win. That's a really impressive coaching job by Damian Harris.
Yeah, it really is. We talked about that last night. Yeah, he's got them going at a pretty good little clip here in the second half of the season, and they took a couple losses, but East Nashville is looking like the team that we thought they might. And they're headed to White House Heritage next week as the Patriots take care of Liberty Creek 35-13.
Liberty Creek's ground game made this game early on, but White House Heritage, they did what they do. They passed the ball really well and took care of business to, I think this is their longest postseason run ever at this point. First quarterfinals appearance, maybe.
I think you're right.
I think so. I'm pretty sure on that. It's a fairly new school. So, yeah, I believe you're right. And it ultimately come down to what I said on Wednesday. Could Liberty Creek tackle in space for the whole game? And you saw Heritage later on in the game start to break them off a little bit more.
Yeah, I think late in the season that White House Heritage actually has opened up their running game a little bit. Cale Hunt had a good night, 142 yards rushing. But, yeah, you're right, Joe. A lot of revolves around Xavier Murray, 248 yards passing, 3 touchdowns rushed for another.
And it will be East Nashville at White House Heritage next week. And
Imagine Nashville in 2A. Oh, wait.
Yeah, we will get that in due time. But, yeah, I will be at White House Heritage next week for this one between Patriots and East Nashville. So looking forward to that one.
Spotlight, we held out for this matchup just because we thought it was the best possible matchup to cover. And I can't remember his name, but we've had a viewer all year that's asked us to go to Heritage. Buddy, we're coming.
Yep.
I might be there.
We will see you next week for sure. On to 2A, as Joe mentioned, Westmoreland blanks Monterey 26-0, but this was not necessarily complete dominance by Westmoreland.
No, not a bad night though from Cooper White though, boys. He messaged us. Cooper, love Cooper because he gives us his stats. Really respect it. 11 carries, 121 yards, 2 touchdowns, 3 receptions, 66 yards for another touchdown, and he had 3 punt returns for 31 yards. So, he's pretty good.
So their defense did a tremendous job. Their defense kept Monterey out of the red zone all night long, and I think they only made it across midfield 3 times.
Also had a pick six to close it.
Yep. Closed it with a pick 6. Yeah, you're right, Cam. So Westmoreland defense gets it done.
They will not, however, get the rematch against East Robertson as the Indians fall at Marion County 42-10.
Yeah, I mean, this one, Cam and I are kind of keeping up with it, and I had Marion County's updates on because kudos to them. They're very good about posting updates to their games. They just, from the get-go, they beat them down. East Rob showed up last night.
Yeah, and I talked about it. Jasper is a very rough place to go play. It is a hostile environment. The fans for Marion County do a good job of trying to just call it what it is, play the little scare tactics with the visiting team, and they talk a lot, and now Westmoreland gets to go down there and try to face the same thing, because for some reason, even though Westmoreland's further west than Marion County, they're Region 3.
Quick update on something we mentioned a minute ago. White House Heritage did make a quarterfinal in 2015. They lost to CPA that year.
Okay.
That bracket does look like this. Westmoreland is going to hit the road and head to Marion County down to Jasper for that quarterfinal next week. Be an interesting one.
Yeah, I think that'll be a really interesting matchup. Westmoreland's not scared of anybody, though.
No.
I think that they're playing, they're playing with house money and they're playing together. I think, this one's going to be a tough one.
Yeah, if Marion County comes out and plays like they did last night, though, I mean,
All right, let's go on to 1A. Eagleville put up a pretty good fight, but it ended in a 28-0 loss to McKenzie.
For what it's worth, JC, Cam will be there. Cam and KJ.
Yeah.
KJ's back in town.
Food's too good. Cam will be there forever.
Yeah, Scott's not permitted, evidently, so Scott will go elsewhere.
I'm not the problem.
Your ban ends at the end of the season. We can, take it up, but right now it's going to have to still stand.
Right now, while the streak's going on, I got you.
Yeah.
Can you bring me like a to-go box?
Yeah, exactly. They had some sliders there last night. My God, they were good.
Yeah, and it was chilly and football weather, and I got a bowl of chili, so they had everything.
Yep,
best tailgate around.
Okay, yeah, let's talk about.
Oh, you just go to, where, Matt.
Oh,
oh my gosh!
So what drew that reaction from KJ?
Yeah, that right there.
That'll do it. That'll absolutely do it. Okay, let's talk about Eagle.
This was a 7-0 game at halftime. I mean, they cut it down. McKenzie just talent won out. Eagleville, they can focus on basketball season now because they're going to be really good in basketball. But that's a great season for the Eagles, who we're in a weird region. Closed the year out hot, and then they just ran into the potential state. I mean, they're the state favorites. I mean, there's no potential. They are the state favorites.
And they're a heavy state favorite.
Yeah.
And Eagleville, it seemed like early on, you said 7-0 at halftime. It seemed like they were almost perfecting the game plan to perfection of cutting it into quarters and just staying within striking distance. And unfortunately, McKenzie pulled away in the second half.
When you're down and you have to get outside, I mean, eventually you have to get outside of that and do some things that create opportunities for the other team.
Yep. So that sets up 2-1 seeds to go at it. Richland at McKenzie next week in the quarterfinals in Class 1A.
Yeah, we are done with 1A coverage, but essentially until state. Eagleville is our last team standing. Good luck, Richland. I'm proud of you, though, Richland. You got me a win and kept Chris from being back one game of me, so I'm proud of you.
It is what it is. On to Division 2, AAA. Brentwood Academy took care of business against Father Ryan, 43-14.
I said it would be a better game than the first time around, but I don't know if it was.
It was about the same. I think it was 45-14.
No, first game was 35-2 or something like that.
Yeah, they held the Irish to a negative 67 yards rushing when you factor in sacks. They had 6 sacks of Joseph Derrick. Only allowed 2 for 11 third downs and held the Irish to 1 of 4 in red zone chances, while their offense was a perfect 5 for 5.
Joe, I'll let you answer that question too.
Both Irish scores came with under 9 minutes left in the fourth.
Got to win this
This
week,
was
but
a-
if you win this week, yes.
Yeah, a dog and pony
Yeah.
show out there is the biggest rivalry in West Tennessee. And Milan beat the tar out of them first time around. That's with Gray Eubanks, who got hurt late in the game, but he's fine now. I say Milan wins, but I think it's a much, much better game than the first time around. Sorry, Scott.
No, it's all right. I was just going to say McIntyre, another good game. It was an offensive battle because Joseph Derrick 3 for 332, McIntyre 3 for 351 and 3. Keyshawn Bowman and Neil Clifton both had big nights receiving.
BA hits the road next week, and they're going down to Chattanooga to face Baylor.
Yep, 7-6.
8-7. I think it was 8-7.
I thought it was. I'm pretty sure it was 7-6 because
pretty
BA
sure.
had 2 field goals.
I'm pretty sure you're wrong. I don't know.
Uh-oh.
I want to hear this. Let him look it up real quick. I want to hear this. Say it, Joe. Say it.
So do you guys ever what do you think of
Just for those listening, it was 7-6.
It was 7-6. Yeah, the
a 1-point game? So
but this is Brentwood Academy, their line has gotten better as the season's gone on. I think that this is a bit different team than the team Baylor faced earlier.
Yeah, and they moved the ball on Baylor in the first game. And the first game, the wind was like 30-mile-an-hour wind, and I think it was one of the rainy nights. Unfortunately, BA does have to go to Chattanooga to play Baylor. But, man, what a job Coach Wade's done with this bunch. From a 2-win season to being in the semifinals and have a legitimate shot to make a return trip to Chattanooga in a couple of weeks. What a job.
I agree, Cam. I don't think enough has been said about how good Coach Wade is. Oh, jeez.
Thank you, Dalton. I like Dalton. Dalton's good people.
Dalton, I was probably about to be the only one on the staff to pick Westmoreland next week, and
we didn't need those Flames fan right here. Anyway, Ensworth blanks NBA 28-0.
Revenge. I know Ensworth won the regular season matchup, but NBA knocked them out last year, and that was a really good Ensworth team they knocked out. And then Ensworth's second play of the game, first play of the game, I think it was a 98-yard or 70-yard run, something like that. Then they punch it in for a touchdown, and they just never look back.
And Ensworth defense is just really good. Ethan Utley had 2 sacks, 3 quarterback pressures. Bishop Starling, 99-yard pick 6.
They're on a war
dominating performance. Yeah.
They're on a war path. They are hungry to get to Chattanooga.
Standing in their way, Macaulay Blue Tornado. They'll be at Ensworth next week.
Purple Tigers, Purple Pounders, Blue Tornado. Jeez, what the heck is Chattanooga doing down there?
They like their colors, man.
Colors.
Ensworth at home, I think, could be the difference here. That's a great home field advantage, and outside of Baylor, I don't know if Macaulay's played in. Let's be real, I don't know if Ensworth's played an offense quite like Macaulay's yet either. So that'll be a hell of a game.
Yeah.
Into AA, BGA blanks USJ 34-0.
Wasn't expecting
move
that.
along.
You ready for that apology, Scott?
Hey.
This was on the road. They went all the way out to Jackson and blanked an offense that's averaging like 40-something points a game, close to 50, I believe. And BJ dominant. They've shut. I mean, their defense has found its form, and that should scare the rest of D2 AA.
Yeah, I agree. Caden Marable, another big night. 244 and 3 TDs, and all the touchdowns were at Arnett Hayes. He had 10 catches for 160 and 3 touchdowns. And Ethan Kelm had another big night rushing the ball. It was just BGA just played a complete game.
I guess Arnett's not ready to go to the hardwood yet.
Not yet. Not yet. Derek, one of the comments on Facebook, Derek, we went over Macon a little bit ago.
BGA is going to take on FRA, who went down to Silverdale and won 45-28 to improve to 11-1.
And if you're BGA and you saw that Silverdale put up 28 on FRA, you got to feel a little confident. Even though FRA won this game in pretty dominant fashion earlier in the year, BGA just got off to a slow start in that one. And when they got their offense going a little late in that game, they really took it to FRA before turnover cost them. So, Scott, I'd be honest with you. I'm pretty sure that's where you're going to be next week.
What do you think? Okay. FRA?
Yeah, I think we might be there. I think that's too big of a game not to have somebody at.
Yeah,
That's at FRA?
Yeah.
Oh, it doesn't get much prettier than that.
up top on that hill.
Yeah. Panthers got 2 first-half interceptions, 89-yard kickoff return, and a halfback pass from Mike Hasselbeck to Charlie Speed. Quadair Fletcher added a couple of touchdowns. It's just but I mean, truthfully, it was 31-14 at the half. Silverdale gets 2 late scores to make it. I mean, at one time it was 45-14. So
There it is. The BG at FRA for a trip to Chattanooga on the line. On the other half of that bracket, CPA over Knoxville Grace 55-21.
Ross Patterson, big night, 213 yards, 3 touchdowns. Didn't need much out of Hudson Chance in this game. I think they threw for 90 yards, but
rain is wet. Tennessee's weather is just stupid. Ross Patterson's very good at football. These are all things that are constant.
And here's last year's Blue Cross Bowl matchup.
I kind of hate that this is on the same side of the bracket.
Right?
Yes and no. But when you think about if CPA is able to win this one and then they get a rematch with the FRA or a BGA, it kind of washes, in my opinion. And it could set up a really good matchup for us in Chattanooga as far as coverage goes.
Well, selfishly, yes.
Yeah. This matchup next week, though, Boyd, it's a different CPA team that Boyd's getting. Last year, they were a huge team, and they were physical. They ran the football. They're still physical. They're not as big as they were last year. But what they've been able to do passing the ball.
Yep.
With Owen Cable and Knox McLean out wide and Hudson at quarterback. Guys, this CPA offense is a juggernaut this year.
And this game will be at CPA next week, not Boyd Buchanan, as the screen marks. So just wanted to correct that too. CPA will be at home in that semifinal game.
Is it?
Week. Yes, it is.
So I was right.
Yeah. On to single leg, Grace Christian's run ends at a 34-7 loss at Jackson Christian.
I still can't get how important it is for Joe to be right.
Yeah, my girlfriend says it's a problem. Yeah, GCA just couldn't find the offense they had last week. They go out to Jackson Christian and lose to a really good Eagles team. Jalen Mosley is now the state career leader in touchdown receptions as well. So congratulations to him.
You could hear this game, our partners at Aero Sports, 50-27, Nashville Christian over Middle Tennessee Christian. Middle Tennessee Christian led early, but the Eagles got rolling.
Bad news for MTC or Nashville Christian. They gave up 27 points. Good news for Nashville Christian. They continue to put up a ton of points.
Well,
Tony just put bold predictions today, though, guys. Good Lord.
And scored 3 straight points in the first half. It was 43-13 going into halftime. This one kind of got away early. Curtis only threw 8 passes, completing 6 for 174 and 3. Sean Murphy had a good night rushing for the Cougars on a tough night for them. He had 132 yards rushing. Nashville Christian gave up some yardage on the ground, but in the end, it was really all Eagles for this game.
It'll be an all Eagles matchup next week.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, it will.
Nashville Christian goes to Jackson Christian for that semifinal.
This is a game I think we wanted as a state championship matchup. I had another one that I hate is on the same bracket personally.
Could be a lot of points in this one.
The difference in this game is going to be TJ Ward. Don't know. Jackson Christian struggle. I think their lone loss came to USJ where Noah Spencer kind of ran all over them. If they get TJ Ward going in this game, that's going to be a long, long night for the Eagles out in Jackson.
Also, another factor is the amount of rushing the ball that Jared Curtis has done this year.
Yeah.
Very much so. Could see like a read option look from Nashville Christian quite a bit next Friday.
Yeah, I would say he reminds me of Caden Powell, but Caden Powell kind of reminds me of him. You know, they both are just straight ahead, I'm going to run you over type of quarterbacks.
Other half of that bracket, DCA takes out Christian 35-28.
DCA built quite a lead in this one, and then Friendship clawed their way back. Not the defensive slugfest Cam saw early in the year, though. I mean, this is kind of what I thought this game would be. That first matchup kind of shocked me with how low scoring it was. This one, Mr. Carey gets the job done, though, and he's proving he's one of the better quarterbacks around.
Yeah, 315, 3 touchdowns. Commanders actually turned to the air, and Luke Sellers had a solid 149 yards passing in this game and 3 scores. We expected Carlando Barton to get his carries, but due to an injury, he only carried the ball 16 times, which is the same amount he carried in the first game. But this time for only 55 yards. They did a really good job, DCA did, in bottling up the run game for Friendship Christian.
Yeah, Carson Sneed, last possession, Friendship had a chance to go down and tie it, and Carson Sneed had 2 sacks on that drive, and then King Gardner with the interception to seal it for the Wildcats.
Yep. And that will send DCA to Columbia Academy in the semifinal round. Columbia Academy 56-21 winner over Trinity Christian.
Yeah, big-time rematch. Another revenge opportunity here. DCA lost to Columbia Academy in the regular season. Pretty ugly, I think. And DCA was not happy about the way they played. And it's ultimately these seeds would be flipped if DCA won that game. So,
guys, that's it for the scoreboard. We're done. Like I said, fun week. A lot of intriguing scores. A lot of great football games.
Admittedly, Cam, I thought we were going to have the game of the night last night, and then Beach had to spoil all the fun.
We did for a while.
Did we?
Yeah. I mean, midway through the second quarter, you were giving me score updates. You said, looked like we got game of the night. And then it was not the game of the night.
Yeah, it got ugly.
Joe, come on now. You complain when you get a 7-3 game that's a tough nail biter and nobody scores. You got a game where people scored.
That's boring as hell. I like close games that have a lot of points. So I would have liked.
If any of you guys know in advance that you're going to have a close game where everybody scores, would you let Joe know?
Yeah, exactly. Give me a heads up. Like Friendship DCA, that's right up my alley last night. The one Chris had, I don't know. I would have, yeah.
Well,
the difference,
fourth quarter and overtime at Stewart's Creek were great.
Yeah.
The difference maker last night for Beach though was the offensive line.
Yeah.
If they play like that, man, we're going to get a treat in a couple of weeks.
They've grown a lot.
What was the most surprising thing from last night for you guys?
East Rob getting throttled.
Getting throttled, yes.
Yeah.
Them losing not shocking, but
right.
Getting beat the way they did, it's like, dude.
1A for me being Macon County dominating government like they did. I thought they won a close game, but that wasn't. It was a 13-point final, but that was not a 13-point game.
No.
If you kind of catch my drift there.
Yeah, to me, it was the domination by BGA over USJ. That to me was, I mean, did I think that BGA could win? Yeah. Did I think that they would go out to Jackson and just absolutely manhandle the Bruins? I did not. And my 1B would probably be how well Macon County played against Upperman.
Mount Juliet, keeping that game as close as they did. Yeah. I mean, that was a real testament game for them. And you hate to see that group of seniors go out because they've been such a staple of that program's success the last couple of years. They gave it all they could. If DeJuan Morris doesn't do what he does, they're playing Riverdale in the quarters.
Yeah, heck of an effort.
Yeah.
Yeah, DeJuan Morris showed that if he doesn't get hurt, he wins 6A Mr. Football, and it's not close.
Yeah, he runs away with it.
All right, guys, we're down to 8 in each class of Division I, and then this Division II semifinals next week. What are you looking forward to?
Scott, you go first because you're back next week. What are you looking forward to?
I'm looking forward to I'm looking forward to football in Tennessee. I mean, in all honesty, and not the one way out east that wears that god awful orange. I'm looking forward to being back on the sidelines. It's been rough. I'm not going to lie. Watching from afar, trying to get a glimpse of, and watching 3 games on 3 screens, and just realizing how fortunate I was. You really don't miss anything until it's gone. And I'm just happy to be. I'll just be happy to be back on the sidelines for a couple of weeks.
Guys?
It won't be the game I'm at, but Springfield Beach. I just think that's going to be an unbelievable matchup. And I want to see how Stewart's Creek tests Ravenwood, see if anybody can do it. But Cam, I think you're going to get a dandy next week. And interested to see how Page's defense handles Shelbyville, or if Shelbyville can actually do anything. I'm going to go out on a limb and say probably not.
Yeah, I mean, to start, I'm looking forward to the bacon wrapped honey buns.
Hello.
Yeah, what kind
Yeah,
of
Cam, I
concoction is
expect
that?
one of those. I expect you to snake one of those out for me.
But yeah, I think we will have a good matchup at Shackle Island next week. But I want to see if Macon County, after such an emotional win, can tone it back and go up and do it again. Because this is another revenge opportunity. This is an opportunity for you to host the semifinals for the first time in school history. We talked about it at the start of the year. This is the best team in Macon County school history. Prove it.
I'll second that. It's a revenge opportunity for a couple teams, not just them. Stewart's Creek going to Ravenwood. Ravenwood knocked them out last year. It's a Stewart's Creek team that's not going to be phased by going back there and facing a tough Ravenwood team. I'm interested to see how they come out in that game, because if they can keep that toe-to-toe with Ravenwood for a while, who knows?
I'm gonna go, more on a Scott approach, and I'm excited to be back home. It's been a while, and haven't caught a game yet this season, so to be able to go see my guys, it's gonna be a good one.
All right. And we certainly hope to see all of you out at games next Friday night as well. We've got plenty coming this week. 615 Preps Live Wednesday at 7. Don't be late, Stewart's Creek fans. Yeah, that's it for us. We're done with the Scoreboard show. We got a lot of college football to watch today, so enjoy that. Enjoy your weekend, and we will see you guys on Wednesday at 7 p.m. for 615 Preps Live. So for KJ, Cam, Scott, and Joe, also Tyson and Isaac, who are on this show, I'm Chris. We will see you guys then. Take care of each other. Take care of yourselves. See you soon.
Go Big Orange.